Super Beyblade time. Ian doesn't know that song.
I don't remember much besides It's Beyblade.
I remember the tops had special moves, even though they were tops.
Yeah, that was a series that really tried to push. It came around the card game era of like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah. Subpar.
They don't make Beyblade stuff anymore, so
No.
we shouldn't even be talking about Beyblade.
Yeah, fuck Beyblade. Let's talk about anime, because this is the Protagonist seat. And
Dun dun.
I am Ian.
And I'm Alex, and we are here to talk about that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Pacing is bad.
Pacing is bad.
Pacing is bad. That was one thing that occurred to me today. I was like thinking about it.
I think this is going to be like a 24 episode show, so that's why this is going so slow.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
It is not moving the plot of this.
No, it is stock still.
Funny enough, though, I liked this episode more than any of the previous 4 or 5.
Me too, because one thing happened.
Yeah, we meet another Japanese person.
Yeah. Another, I forget what her name is.
I think it's Shizu.
Shizu shows up. And she is the girl from the intro with, like, the weird red lines on her face, and she wears a mask and yoga pants.
Yeah.
And she's a super big badass.
And she is also from Japan, except she came during the fire bombings of World War II, and she didn't die. She got summoned there.
Yes. And that also means that she is bound to follow her summoner's directions by some kind of curse, which we see at a couple points she gets, like, headaches. So I'm curious to see how her curse further manifests in the future.
And she doesn't... nothing really happens. The group that went into the cave to look for the dragon, they join up with her. They find the goblin village, which got bigger because a bunch of more goblins joined.
Yeah, more goblin, because the goblins are like, hey, if we don't come to this weird village with this legendary dude, we're gonna get fucked over.
And that's it.
That's it. He names... There's an actual point where I was like, wow, that is worth nothing, where they mentioned that he names like 52 more goblins and sleeps for another 3 days.
And Gobta, I guess, learned to summon a wolf.
Yeah, because they left him in jail.
I don't really care about anything that's happening in this show.
No.
Like, the stakes are so low for me that I'm struggling to give a shit.
Because it's like, I don't know. No one really, like, gives a reason to care. It's just kind of like good things happen because.
It's so fantasy by the numbers, too, that it's just... I feel like it reminds me of every single fantasy show that just... It's like all the goop that makes it up is just thrown at a screen, and that's what I'm seeing, which fits because it's a show about a slime.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is a fantasy show. This is what it is.
There's goblins and orcs and lizard men.
But it's one of those positive ones, so everyone's living in a friendly village, and, you know, everyone speaks in RPG jargon.
Yeah, everyone is fine with each other. These people fucking show up to a goblin village, and they're like, you know what, this is fine.
Yeah, these are pretty nice goblins.
They don't immediately just say, hey, this is a village full of goblins. We should leave and come back with an army.
Yep, no, it doesn't matter, because they're like, I don't think the guild cares. They don't have jurisdiction on this.
Even though the guildmaster was literally like, hey, go into the woods and come back and say if anything is, like, super crazy.
This show is fatiguing me on Goblin Slayer as well, just because it's making me sick of fantasy.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I'm getting bored of this one. I'll give it another week, but I'm really getting bored of it.
Me too.
It's fantasy by the numbers.
Yeah. Anyway.
Another fantasy show. Goblin Slayer.
This one I actually enjoy.
Yeah, I liked the dungeon they were in.
They go into sewers.
And they meet Sword Maiden.
Oh yeah. And Goblin Slayer has no tact talking to the Archbishop of, like, the Order of the Great Deity.
Yeah, and they go and find out that there's a bunch of goblins under the city in the sewers terrorizing the place. And he that's what he does. He goes and he fights goblins.
Yeah, but it's cool looking.
Yeah. I liked how they have good team coordination now.
Yeah, they've grown as a team, and they do like team maneuvers. Like the goblins have boats in this one, and they're shooting all kinds of arrows. And Priestess,
Yeah, she uses her shield spell to protect them. And Elf now has taken a page from Goblin Slayer's book, where every time she kills a goblin, she takes the arrow back.
yep, because she doesn't want to use the shitty goblin arrows because they're shitty and bad. And I don't blame her.
And they work together, making sure they're managing all their spell slots, and it's fun.
We meet a sewer dragon. Well, we don't meet it. It shows up and it fucks things up.
They call it a sewer dragon, but it's just a giant alligator.
It's a big white alligator, and it kills a bunch of goblins, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a cool thing.
It's also building up to something, which I feel the slime show lacks.
Yeah, any sort of build up.
Because it doesn't feel like that one is leading to anything. It's just kind of going on. But in Goblin Slayer, it's like they realize, hey, goblins need to be taught how to do things. They learn quickly, but they need to be taught.
I think this is the thing I like about Goblin Slayer over the Slime Show. They both kind of take that RPG aspect to both of them, but Goblin Slayer almost presents it like how it actually would work in a game.
Yeah.
Whereas instead, something like the Slime Show is just sort of just throwing around a bunch of vague RPG jargon and concepts and mumbo jumbo.
It feels
like this is a skill I have now. That skill does this.
Oh yeah, there's no main character arbitrarily gains skills because of no reason whatsoever. Because Priestess learns new spells. They don't necessarily go into great detail about it.
Yeah,
but
and they're
like,
specifically miracles. She can only learn miracles.
I learned
she's
this.
a priestess, and that's her class.
I feel like Goblin Slayer is written by someone who has a good grasp of RPGs, whereas Slime is just like
someone who played a few video games.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I played like Dragon Quest a couple times. I could probably write this.
I could see that. Especially with the "Don't worry, I'm a friendly slime" line in that episode.
Yeah.
These two, the conversation about these two shows is kind of mixed.
Yeah, it's dynamic writing. We'll call it dynamic writing.
Yeah.
Slime, boring. Goblin Slayer, real good.
Yeah, you know what? The Slime Show, that's the problem. Not killing the goblins.
Yeah. It needs more slain. You know what? I think that it needs more of anything being slain, because I was the most engaged I've been in like a couple weeks when Shizu was fighting those giant ants.
Yeah, and that wasn't even that good because you knew she was going to fuck it up and you didn't give a shit about the ants.
Yeah, but it was still like, hey, pretty colors, action, something happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's move on off the fantasy shows, because it's not even, we're just talking about one show then the other. We're just talking about them both at the same time. We've combined Goblin Slayer, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Yeah, and that's disappointing. So let's move on to something that's not as not as disappointing.
I was disappointed for different reasons.
Yeah.
Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. So, I'll give you the rundown of this episode. Best girl lost.
Of course. She always does.
Anyway, the plot of this episode is they're going to... the main character and Koga, his kohai, are going to stop fake dating, and turns out he ends up in a time loop again.
Yep. He Groundhog Days a whole bunch of times, essentially their last day together, because she doesn't wanna.
And he realizes, oh, she actually does like me.
Yeah.
Not as a fake boyfriend.
But as a real boyfriend.
And He wants to obviously be with Mai, so this doesn't work for him. And he goes along with it for a few days, and then basically calls her out and says, all right, you gotta say it.
Yeah, cut the shit. I know how you feel. My feelings will not change in a billion redos of this scenario.
And so she ends up finally confessing her feelings, and then they move on. And they don't go to the next day. It turns out the entire 3 weeks they have been doing this has all been a simulation, basically. He jumps back to 3 weeks prior.
Yeah.
This entire arc never technically happened except for those two.
Yeah, and
because she remembers it and he does.
I thought that was, like, actually really interesting.
Yeah, that was a really cool twist. I thought it was just going to be the next day after that. Nope. He never technically even fake dated her.
Yeah, and
meaning he never wiped his shoe on that guy's face.
Yeah. And I thought it was a little funny because he just, like, gets up and we see from, like, the last time there was a Groundhog Day scenario.
Yeah, the football game that Japan won.
And he looks at the TV and he's like, holy shit, she's really good.
Yeah, instead he's not like, I have to repeat the last 3 weeks of school.
Yeah, which, if you know what the questions are going to be, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because he failed his exam, so now he already took his exam.
Yeah.
And he gets to redo that moment where he asked Mai to date him.
Yes, and she agrees.
And now they're fine with that. But at the end of the episode, he finds a girl with an umbrella looking over a kitten in a box. And immediately, that's the next girl.
Yeah.
That's the next arc.
Oh, look, the next plot line has appeared.
And this show has vastly improved.
Yeah.
I now look forward to watching it. Where I remember the first week I was just not into it at all. Same with, like, the second week.
Yeah, I wanted to like it more than I did at the time, and then it just kind of, it came into its own, which is really good.
Now I would say this is in the top 5 on this list.
I agree. So, let's move on to another one in the top 5, another one in the top 2, I would say another one in the top 1, barring things that we already knew were going to be good. A Zombieland Saga.
I gotta be honest, I think this was my least favorite episode so far.
I don't actually remember what happened, which should instantly tell you a whole lot.
So in this episode, they go and do a fan meetup.
Oh, that's right.
Junko, one of the girls who was previously a professional idol, she isn't into it because she's from a different age of being an idol.
Yeah.
Where they didn't have so much fan involvement. They almost tried to parade themselves as they were perfect beings that, their fans aspire to be.
So naturally, meeting up with them doesn't sit well with her, and she kind of fucks it up.
And I, the other professional idol, but one from 10 years ago, is kind of mad at her for this.
Yeah. Ruining publicity. Can't be doing that.
And the two of them get in a fight, and they both go off their separate ways, and then Sakura and Saki have to kind of be the moms of the group and both go and console a different one.
Yeah.
Which, again, Saki's best girl.
100%. I do.
She went from being this angry biker chick to, like, a legitimate leader of the party.
Yeah, and that actually kind of surprised me. Because, you start with...
I'm still using fucking RPG talk. Like, leader of the party.
I mean...
Leader of this band of idols.
It's ingrained in our blood. But, she... At first, when she was like, I'm going to be the leader, I was like, that's not going to last very long. But then she sort of comes into her own as the leader and just kind of starts actually doing leader things. And I'm like, holy shit, it works.
And we find out how Junko dies. She dies in a plane crash. And we find out Ai dies in the most metal way possible.
It's great.
Because her and Saki are in a park together and it's raining. And they're hiding in one of the jungle gym things.
Yeah.
And Ai's really scared of the thunder and lightning. And Saki asks her about it, and she explains that's how she died. She was on stage doing a show, and then bam, lightning struck her while she was on stage.
Gets fucking struck by lightning.
Which I found weird because I thought it's supposed to strike the tallest thing in the area.
Not this time.
Yep.
It struck the dead center of the arena, and they show you she is charred black.
Which explains why her zombie form has her in just a bunch of bandages all the time.
Yeah, she must be real fucked up.
Because she is toasted.
She is a toasty marshmallow. Put her on a s'more, slap some chocolate on there. You've got an idle s'more.
And yeah.
We also learned that the next thing that they're gonna do, the next event, is a
this big music festival.
Saga Rock.
Yeah, and Ai's former idol group that she was with when she was alive is also going to be performing, which I want to know how the fuck they're going to do that. Like,
me too.
What's Necroducer's plan for that?
I don't know, but I'm real curious to see what happens. 'Cause, like, you already got, I believe Junko is already kind of recognized by one dude. Now you're going to have Ai performing
with people she knew who knew she died.
Yeah. In makeup that just makes her look like her.
Yeah.
Drama.
So that will be interesting to see. So look again, this week was okay. Looking forward to next week though, because I want to see what they're gonna do with that.
It was better as more of a setup episode than an episode in and of itself.
Yeah, even a slow episode like this, I still have no problem with, because we had episodes like the Hot Springs episode.
Yeah. And it feels slow for a reason. It feels like it's slowing down for a second to delve into the characters, and it's leading up to, it's showing us like, hey, next week, shit's gonna go down.
Get fucking ready.
It's gonna get crazy up in here.
It's gonna get fucking crazy.
It's gonna get fucking crazy.
It's going nuts.
It's going nuts. You got Necroducer, everything's going crazy.
Speaking of Necro, let's talk about some vampires.
Yeah, some Miss Vampires who just so happen to live in my neighborhood.
So this episode, the A plot is that the Sophie, Ellie, Akari's friend, I might be thinking this is the B plot. They go to buy clothes.
That is the...
hold on. Wait, I remember the A plot. The A plot of this episode is the girl from the occult club at school wants to learn more about Sophie because she's in the occult club, obviously. So they kind of just bring her over and hang out with her.
Yeah, and it's just like...
It's what you expect from this show. It's just the...
They hang out. And things happen. And Ellie shows up, and it's like, eh.
And the B plot is where they go and buy clothes.
I like the B plot a lot more than the A plot.
Yeah, and you know what? It was fine. Ellie was fine in this B plot.
Yep, because it's all about, like, hey, they go shopping, and naturally it's during the day, so vampires in the day are like, oh no, son. But then they get there, and everyone goes shopping for clothes, and then they realize, wait a minute.
Yeah, we're all just going to buy the same thing we normally buy.
We're all buying stuff we already wear. So then they decide to buy things for other people, which I think is fun, because then it goes into little montages of like, hey, this would be cool for you. Or like, hey, this would be real cool for you. And it's fun. I had fun with it.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. Even the occult girl stuff, I didn't really mind just because, just chilling out.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, I want to learn more about vampires. And then,
there was one line I really enjoyed in the A plot with the girl, the occult club girl. She's talking to the group about other, just general questions you would have about vampires. And she asks, so vampires and werewolves are known to always have huge rivalries and hate each other in every piece of media. What's your relationship with werewolves? And Sophie just laughs and goes, werewolves, don't be absurd. Those don't exist.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's just ridiculous, werewolves. And then they're all just looking at each other like, this is coming from a vampire.
Yeah, that line is super good. See, it's like, it's moments like that that keep me coming back to this show, because it's real good. There's real good moments written in this show.
Yeah.
Because she's like, maybe to prove or to do something interesting for the occult girl, I should pick up a Rhodorola. And they're like, no, but that's not a thing you just do. So instead she just like sits down with her laptop and buys anime figures and blood.
Yeah, and then what are you doing? Like, she's taking notes while she's on her computer. On Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, is active on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, I didn't think that was very interesting, but okay. So yeah, I still like this show.
Yep, it's still nice. It's still just, it is what it is.
Yeah, it has like no overarching plot, but all the like
I'm
weird
pretty
little
sure it's
plots.
based after, I think it's a 4-koma manga, where it's just the 4 panels.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a bunch of short segments, basically.
You know, that fits.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's real good. And I like this show.
Yeah. You know what else I like?
Are you gonna say JoJo Part 5?
No, I was gonna say Double Decker. No, we can talk about JoJo though. No, yeah, JoJo Part 5. We get to learn more about Abakio.
Yeah, and you know what? His backstory is pretty interesting.
He's a former cop who became dirty after he got disillusioned with the police force. But because he became dirty, he let some people go, and that person he let go ended up committing an even worse crime, like murder.
Yeah, he murders a shopkeeper during a robbery.
He basically did a Peter Parker Uncle Ben scenario where not my problem, and then after it became his problem.
Yeah, and then he kills the burglar kills his partner, and then it all kind of comes out that, hey, you're a dirty cop, you're fired, and Abakio goes into a deep depression
until he meets Bucciarati, who recruits him into the mob.
Yeah, because you know what? Having a former cop seems pretty useful.
And then the rest of the episode is the stand battle.
Which is great.
And we get to learn more about Moody Jazz, Abakio's stand.
Oh, you mean Moody Blues.
Yeah, Moody Blues. And the only characters really in this one are just Abakio and Bucciarati, since everyone else in the last episode got sort of taken by the enemy stand.
Yes, and even the villain doesn't really have a big role in this. He just kind of
hides throughout the entire time, mostly.
Yeah, he is sort of he is a looming threat. And basically, he
deflates people. That is his stand's power.
Yeah. He can deflate things, which is a very interesting stand power.
And it turns out he deflated a ship and put it over the ship they were currently on, so their ship was multi-layered.
And he was hiding between the layers of ship. And Bruno only learns this after Abakio uses his stand, Moody Blues, which basically, like, he can have it.
Yeah, he can do replays of things.
He can replay people.
Yeah.
And so he goes back and
replays all of Narantia, who was the first person to get taken by the enemy stand.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that Bruno remarks that his skin becomes all rubbery like a condom.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, that's weird. And Abakio actually ends up getting captured, but because he figures out where the enemy stand is, because at first they think he's in the pipes, but then they open the pipes.
Yeah,
and
he uses sticky fingers to open up the ship, but they can't see anything inside the pipes.
And they're like, but where's... And his Moody Blues knocks on the pipes, and they're like, that sounds like pipes. And then Abakio gets captured. He wipes a little bit of blood on Bruno's face, and basically this is his hint, like, follow the blood trails. And Bruno realizes that there is another boat deflated and stretched over theirs, which, holy shit, I would have never thought to do that.
No, I wouldn't have seen that coming.
I was...
Even by the end when it happened, I was like, what?
Yeah, because they periodically cut to just like a hole in the bottom of a boat, and I'm like, okay, so there's a hole in the bottom of this boat, and what's the enemy stand's name?
I don't remember in this one because it wasn't said really.
Yeah, I think it's only during the mid-roll card.
Yeah, the bumper.
Anyway, the enemy stand user is basically holding the other members hostage, and he's like, hey, if you don't tell me where the money is, I'm going to start killing people. Also, they use the fly as the proxy for him, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, it does these intense cuts to like a fly just like flying super fast around Bruno as he shouts at him. Turns out he punched a hole in the top layer boat so that it would sink, and then the two boats would separate, and because the enemy stand user would drown if he didn't separate them.
Yeah, so he forced them apart, and then after he got the guy to come out, and the guy was threatening to kill Abacchio, but then Bruno had him decapitated with sticky fingers.
Yeah, he does something super fucking awesome where he just like unzips his arm and basically slaps the dude right across the neck, and it decapitates him, and it's super cool.
Everyone gets saved. Bruno wakes up Abacchio, and then they both look into each other's eyes, and then it cuts to credits. You got me feeling so horny.
Yeah.
I really want to freak in you.
Again, more homoerotic themes. Like, very strong. But more very strong JoJo.
I enjoyed this episode because I usually enjoy any JoJo episode that doesn't really focus on the JoJo so much.
Yeah.
Because I like the side characters fleshed out.
A lot of the strength in the JoJo series comes from the side characters.
I think one of my favorite episodes of Stardust Crusaders it was a multi-part episode, was the Jay Guile fight, because that was mostly just Polnareff and Kakyoin.
Yeah. That fight is super good.
Yeah, and anytime when it's just the side characters is always great. Not to say I don't like anything with the actual JoJo, because I think my other favorite fight is Darby the Gambler, where it's mostly just Jotaro.
Yes. There's a lot of strong characters, and if you're going to have a large cast, it pays to have episodes where you focus on characters that are not the main character.
Especially with a Monster of the Week format where everyone's abilities are different, where you have some characters that have better strengths for certain fights.
Exactly.
Like how this one was a mystery, and it looks like Abacchio's stand is perfectly suited for mysteries.
Yeah. And it's... Yeah. I like... I feel like I've already said this before, but that's always my favorite part of JoJo is like, hey, this person's stand is super good against this other person's stand, but like this third person's stand counters that stand, and then it's all just stand counters.
That's
Everyone
what's great
has
about
strengths and
stands
weaknesses.
is that there's no power levels. It's just rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, it's abilities. You have an ability, and you can do that ability.
Yeah, it's I got rock, and I can beat anybody with scissors, but I can't beat anybody with paper.
Exactly. So, to move things along a little bit, because I think y'all's have an impression of how much we like JoJo Part 5.
We do. We enjoy that. We enjoy JoJo Part 5. But you know what I really fucking enjoyed this week? Double Decker. Holy shit, that was a good episode.
This episode was so good. Holy shit.
It was like all Doug focused, but damn, that was a good episode.
It's so good. Basically, a person from Doug's past reappears, and Doug goes out for vengeance.
There's this guy named Good Looking Joe.
Good Looking Joe.
He's a mobster who apparently was responsible for killing Doug's old partner, not Derek.
Not Derek.
The person who Doug actually was Doug's, I say in air quotes, partner when he was a cop, not a detective, just a beat cop.
Yes, he used to work with...
There was someone, an information broker named Pat.
Pat, that's right. So basically, throughout the episode, most of it is
Doug
Kirill
investigating, and Kirill kind of worried about Doug.
Yeah.
Kirill's doing his own investigating, trying to figure out who Doug's old partner was.
Yeah, he wants to know who Pat is.
And it cuts to Derek going, Doug's old partner? Me.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, not you. Then you?
Because they're both idiots, and it's great.
And, and the Kirill sister-brother plot kind of wraps it's
fine.
It's put on hold almost. It's like, we'll get back to that.
Because it's like they introduced it. We know the twist. That's fine. We'll get back to that. That's not pressing right now. But right now, Doug has gone off on his own, freaking half-cocked, and he's ready for action.
And you end up finding out that good-looking Joe was responsible for killing Doug's partner, and Pat turns out was an information broker. And then you find out why Doug's so pissed about this. Turns out Pat was a kid.
Yep.
A little orphan girl.
She used to shine shoes and gather and sell information on the street for extra money.
And Doug knew this was dangerous. Turns out Doug didn't even use her as an information broker.
He wanted her to be safe.
And he is real pissed when he finds out the reason this guy, good-looking Joe, killed her was not even for information broking, was because she used the wrong color shoe shine on his shoes.
Yes. And this is a really
This is where you see Doug show the most emotion he's ever shown in this show.
He is pissed, and it's great. Because you can tell that, because at this point, Doug has confronted good-looking Joe.
And his entire gang.
Yes.
So he's got men on all sides armed just with guns on them.
And shit looks stacked against Doug. So it's like, how's Doug going to get out of this one, fellas?
And good-looking Joe takes the gun that Doug had on him and goes to shoot Doug with that gun. But turns out they're all blanks besides the fourth in the chamber, which is a flashbang.
Yes.
Because Doug planned to have him take it from him. And then after it goes off, Doug pulls a Doug and just starts taking people the fuck out.
He takes out the chandeliers to make it dark, and then he just freaking Batman gun violence just takes out a ton of dudes all at once, and it's great. It is such a well-directed and choreographed scene. I love it.
And then it looks like at the end, Doug is going to shoot good-looking Joe.
Yeah.
But turns out the gun misfired.
And blows up in his hand and injures his hand.
And all the dudes get arrested, and Travis, the boss, ends up asking Doug, he's like, did you know the gun would misfire? And he thinks back to something Kirill said like a couple seconds before, where Kirill said, see, your partner didn't want you to get revenge. That's why the gun misfired.
Yes.
And then Doug basically nods and goes, yeah, I knew the gun would jam.
And the thing about the gun is it is a lady killer revolver, because Doug tried to give Pat a revolver for self-defense, and she was like, no, Doug, you're a cop. You got to follow the rules.
Doug tried to give a little girl a handgun at one point.
Because he was scared for her, and then she was like, nah, it's fine.
And Travis mentions that's when Doug started to hate class.
Yep.
And the system.
Doug also gets a really cool line when he's aiming his gun at good-looking Joe. Because he's got his revolver aimed at him, and the dude's like, you wouldn't shoot me, you're a cop. Because that's what all bad guys say in that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And then Doug says, you fired first, so I could shoot a piece of shit like you in the face and not have to worry about anything.
He's like, you made the... when he's on the phone with him, he says, bring as many of your guys as you can. It'll make the self-defense claim easier.
So good, man. Like, this episode has got everything. It's got character development. It's got cool investigations where Doug goes around trying to figure out where good-looking Joe is.
Oh, and for the previews, because I always like watching the previews for shows I like, next week we actually get to learn more about Max, blonde-haired girl.
Yes, that's right. We get to figure out what makes Max Max.
And yeah, Double Decker, honestly, I would say this is one of my favorites this season.
Yeah, it's really good.
It has been on a constant upward slope.
I would agree. Another thing I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I really dig the shit out of the music. Like, the music's super good.
Yeah, and honestly, whenever the action scenes go into CG, I feel like it's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's CG that kind of works.
Even though it doesn't, I don't think it looks that different from, like, just kind of the generic CG that most anime uses. They do it well, where it moves naturally and it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah, their CG is good enough to the point where the ending of, like, the show's ending, where it's just a pan around the CG models of each of them.
Yeah, I do think this show has one of my favorite ending.
I don't give a shit. Now I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, I love it. I love that song. It's great.
It sounds like it's like Japanese punk.
Yeah, and it's just goofy and it's a lot of fun and I like it. I don't give a shit and I'm not in a... So if you have some time, because it's real good, look up Double Decker, Doug and Kirill. I believe the song is called Buntline Special, which I don't...
Buntline Special.
I don't fully understand it, but I love the shit out of it.
I like this show. You know what? I feel like I'm going to make a video on this show at some point, too, because I don't think it's very popular. I don't see a lot of buzz about it online.
That's disappointing, because everything about this show is very good, very well
I feel like a lot of people looked at it and went, oh, it's a Sunrise show. Gay.
Yeah, but it's not gay. It's real good.
It's got those undertones, but it's fine.
They're just undertones. It's not like JoJo levels of obvious.
And you know what? JoJo has them, and JoJo's popular.
Yeah, and JoJo's great. So, we're
going to go to something that should have more undertones than it actually does.
Yeah, which is weird. Hinomaru Sumo.
Thick boys squeezing each other.
Thick boys grabbing their belts.
So in this episode, Hinomaru goes to another school to train, which is why technically happening the same time the other group was training, and he gets to fight with the adults, like college-age guys who are training to become professionals.
Yep.
And at first they don't take him seriously, and then he shows them that, oh, we gotta take this kid seriously.
Yeah, and then they do. And, then excuse me, then the big boy of the sumo stable comes out and he's like, hey, you might not know this about me, but I'm a curious cat.
Yeah, he sticks his head through, like, this guy has golden Kamui face, where his face looks like he was designed by someone from the Golden Kamui, like, team.
He does. He's got, like, the deadest eyes ever, and is just
everyone in that show has super dead eyes, and that guy's got the eyes.
He's got the eyes. And at first when he's like, because there's also a high school age girl there who is a sumo coach for another college.
Who you end up finding out her brother's actually one of the competitors he's going to have to face.
Yes. She's there, and we see the biggest boy beckoning to her through like a cracked door, and at first I thought it was going to take like a real creepy, disturbing turn, like almost School Days level, which if it had, it would have this show would have sold me with that, but it didn't. He was just like, hey, who's that kid?
I'm going to fight him. And then they fight, and Hinomaru can't beat him.
Yeah, because
he's very strong.
He is a very strong man.
But he says, hey, you should stay with us and we should train more.
Yeah, so he does.
And they train for another day. And that is Hinomaru Sumo. That is the episode. They do sumo stuff. The other guys don't do anything this episode.
Nope. As I had predicted last week, I did not like this episode as much as I would like the other one, even though it was still just training. And it wasn't only super moves, which I liked because there wasn't even one super move.
Yeah.
But it was still...
It's not fun to watch.
No, it was still more just like static shots of just grunt
I'm in
face.
a weird spot where, do I want to keep watching this? Because I don't feel it's going to change.
No.
I don't hate it, but I could go without it.
Yeah, it's... This show feels...
I just nothing it, kind of.
It feels almost just literally net neutral. It is at perfect neutral equilibrium where it's like, it doesn't hurt to watch, but like I don't get anything out of it.
This is something where I wouldn't, if we weren't obviously watching it for the podcast, I wouldn't be watching it for my own personal reasons. This is something that if this was back in the day where it was on TV and I had to watch it before something else, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
But this is not that day and age where I have to sit through shows I only vaguely have an interest in.
It's a good, like, before Dragon Ball Z show.
Yeah, if this came out during the Toonami era and I'm like, all right, I'll sit through the Sumo one to get to Dragon Ball or something.
The ending theme gets me pumped for Dragon Ball, so I'll sit.
Yeah. Huh. Huh.
Oh, Hachiman! And then there's that weird dude at one point. Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. It's stupid, and I love it.
Yep, that's Hinamaru Sumo. But you know what?
It is.
You know what was pretty to look at this week? Because it's always doing that.
This show...
Iraduku, The World in Colors.
It continues to visually impress me every week. Just like the way it's... I use terms like this a lot because I don't know exactly how else to say it, but the way it's shot is interesting. The way they compose scenes is visually interesting to watch.
I'm going to have trouble talking about the plot this week, though, because I feel like not much happened.
No, basically, she goes into his drawing using magic without realizing it.
Yeah, and she sees that it's kind of the painted world they're in is kind of dying or something, and she realizes that means he must be having trouble as a writer, or a painter, and she tries to bring it up to him, but he gets kind of mad that she's meddling with his business, and he just kind of says, "Leave me alone." And then there's an awkward atmosphere, and he goes to an art show to see one of his former senpai, and as they're leaving, Hitomi catches them, and you think she sees him with another girl, and you think, oh, they're gonna have that misunderstanding moment, but Grandma, proving she's the best character in this whole show, stops her from from running away for a second, so he can see, because she's like, no, we're not gonna deal with 3 episodes of misunderstanding drama bullshit.
We're not having that. Wins, bring her back.
This is a 13-episode show. We can't waste 3 on this.
And she blows the umbrella out of her hands.
And then he chases her down, and he says, I'm going to make a drawing, and then I want you to see it. And she gets her color vision back after.
Yeah, her color returns, because I believe the golden fish is an allegory for sort of his artistic inspiration. And I'm making a call right now. His dad died. And ever since his dad died, he's been having trouble making art.
You know what? That would make sense why he doesn't have a dad.
His dad never shows up. At one point, Hitomi goes...
and her mom died, so they both have dead parents. She only sees in black and white, and he can't make his paintings.
Yeah. I think it makes sense, especially because at one point, she asks... Because Art Boy brings it up. He's like, hey, I saw when I used your weird stardust, I saw this golden fish that I used to draw in one of my paintings, in one of my drawings. It actually won my first award. And then she's like, she goes to club president man who has a crush on her. And she's like, hey, do you have any pictures of that drawing?
I'm the picture guy. I take a picture of everything.
Of course I do. So naturally, he digs it up, And he's like, yeah, this is actually, it's the one he won his first award for. And I remember his dad was so proud of him for that. And ever since then, he just kind of took up drawing. And it was at that moment that I was like, the reason he can't draw is because he got no dad anymore. His dad is dead.
And then they walk back because the club president guy walks her back. And then the other girl who likes club president catches them, and then she gets kind of huffy, and poor guy is just oblivious.
I feel bad for this dude.
He doesn't know that she likes him, so he keeps getting confused every time she has a mood swing at him.
What are you mad at? I was just hanging out with that cute chick from the future.
Come on, you're my bro, right?
We're bros.
Yeah, you're my pal.
We've been friends forever. We're BFFs. And only BFFs. I don't see the problem.
You're like a sister to me.
And he just does not get it. And I feel kind of bad because he's just so oblivious.
Yeah, because he pats her on the head like, hey, you did good making those rabbit cars. And then she's like, I'm not a little kid anymore, and runs away. And he's like, okay.
All right, bro. See you tomorrow at school. It's good. It is. I like this character drama. I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah. It's not even strong drama in the sense where it's like over enveloping the plot. It's like there. It's not a huge issue. They're not going to not talk to each other the next day.
Exactly. It's just kind of something that happened.
I think it was the grandma or the chick with the glasses that said this, where because she found out about Hitomi and I fighting, she said, I think the line was, every now and then you got to give your bonds a good smack to make them stronger.
Yeah, that was Glasses Girl.
Okay.
Who actually did something that had bearing on something for once.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of being around.
Being the comic relief with the other guy.
Yeah, and they're off in their little
We're the C romance. We're not even the B romance.
I mean, you've got like, for the most of the main characters, there's like this weird open love pentagon, and then they're just kind of off to the side with their line.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the C romance. You want to be the A romance. That's the prime one. The B one at least gets, the C one's just there. That's the one. There's no drama happening there. No one cares.
It is, yeah. It causes no drama, and it's not really affecting anything in the plot.
And this is a drama. We're not here for,
I'm not here for a touching romance between two people. Yeah. I'm here for drama.
I'm here for a touching romance between 4 people.
2 of which don't know that they're in a touching romance.
One's so confused. He has no idea.
One is just a walking question mark. One thing I want to mention is that when she goes into the drawing, it takes on like the art style of a pastel drawing. So it looks just like, honestly, it looks beautiful. It impressed me thoroughly.
It was like the scene at the beginning of the show where she's at the fireworks thing.
Yeah. Except
now she's in a drawing version of it.
And it's super nice looking. And I appreciate stuff like that.
And yeah, that was Iraduku this week, and it's staying impressive.
Yeah, I like it. I still enjoy the characters. I still love the art style, and it's still just pleasant.
Funny enough, Goblin Slayer isn't even as high on my list as some of the other shows we have on here. Like, I still like it, but I would say Zombieland Saga, Double Decker, Iraduku, and Rascal are really up there for me.
I agree.
Like, a lot of good original shows this season.
Yeah, and it's impressive that, like, this is the season we decided to start, and we got a lot of really good shows.
Oh, I'm so glad we didn't start last season.
Me too.
We would be struggling to just...
How could we talk about any of that shit?
There's like 3 ones we could talk about, and then the rest would just be padding.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, we're going to try to at least make this show like an hour, so here's this shit.
We just
we would probably have to break the sequel rule just to be like, hey, Overlord season 3.
Yeah, and in the future there will probably be points where we have to do that. But let's not think about that.
Yeah, let's think about the good seasons.
Let's
like
think
this
about the
season.
good times.
This is honestly one of those seasons for why I do this to myself. Why I watch seasonal anime.
Yeah, because you get
this shit. You get good shit.
You get good shows like Double Decker and Yoroduku and Zombieland.
Shows like Double Decker, again, where no one's talking about it, or I might not have known about it if I wasn't keeping up with what was happening this season.
Yeah, it is radio silent on it. And to be honest, that's kind of disappointing because the show is just so good.
Because, for example, if I just wasn't watching anime right now and I jumped back in maybe next spring or something, I wouldn't have probably even known about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have heard about it.
That's why we're here. We're here to give you records on stuff that was good.
We're here to remember this. So then in a couple of years, someone will be like, hey, remember that? What was the name of that anime with like the dude with the purple hair and he was like a cop fighting a drug war?
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
You mean Double Decker, Doug and Kirill?
Yeah. My favorite podcasters talked about it. Who? What? Don't worry about it. But it's a good show. Just watch it.
Yeah, they're not around anymore. They fought each other and killed each other over conflicting opinions on that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
One of them really wanted to start watching Ulysses again.
Yeah, one of them wanted to bring back Ulysses. They said, look, I just need it for a quick, I only need a couple of seconds of each episode.
Just need a quick hit, something to just keep me going in those hard times.
Come on, we have no ecchi shows on this, and we have no ecchi on this list.
We need more ecchi.
Come on, just one ecchi show, come on. Come on, just one. There's only one this season, come on.
Don't worry, folks. Ulysses is not coming back.
It's not coming back. It can't hurt you anymore.
Well, I actually I went on to the Crunchyroll website today to view not Goblin Slayer. To view Miss Vampire because I will not watch that with anyone else because I feel weird watching it even though I like it so much. And bam, first thing on the front page, Ulysses staring me right in the face, and I was like, you can try, Ulysses, but you're not working your way back.
Hey, you're off the watch list. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of my face.
But anyway, yep, that is a wrap for this week.
Yeah. Fairly solid week with a lot of the shows we still really like. I'm excited. I want more good things to happen to these shows.
I want to just keep watching. I want to see where these plot lines go.
Same here. But anyway, from us here, sitting in this lonely classroom, staring wistfully out the window, I say, please like and subscribe this video, and ring that bell if you want notifications.
And maybe check out our Twitter, @Protagonist Seat. See you next time.
Have a good day.